Hi, this is Drew Renner. I'm a seventh grade science teacher at the middle school, and I'm going to share with you how I structure mastery based grading in my classroom and gradebook. It's worthy to mention that before I started mastery based grading, I more or less resembled this guy, so not so great here. I think that's Gary Busey. But after I took on mastery based grading, I saw a tremendous transformation as someone that looks like this, and I have this odd inner desire to strap on green tights and a green jacket and go search for gold at the end of the rainbow. Kind of odd, I guess, but I guess it's also better than looking like Gary Busey. At any rate, hopefully, you see a positive transformation in your classroom after adopting mastery based grading strategy. So, how my course is structured, before we kind of get into that, um, I think it's worth mentioning that the whole process begins from unwrapping the content standards from the content statement and elaboration from the ODE. As a science department, these content statements were organized into I can statements that efficiently communicate to students what they're expected to show mastery of. Also, each I can statement has a lesson or a lab activity or two in order to teach the concepts that the students will then show that they've mastered or not. Now, I know talking about the content statements and elaboration gets some people super excited, and if that's you, you need to calm down and stop scaring people. Um, After we have completed a lab or activity in class, sometimes it may be more than one lab or activity, students are assessed on how well they have mastered the concepts from the lesson in the form of what we call a checkpoint. The checkpoint contains 4 questions that cover the I can statement that, in our professional opinion, will communicate if students are mastering the content. Basically, this is a short and sweet formative assessment. And here's a glance real quick of my grade book, and you can see in here I have multiple checkpoints, and a lot of students are doing pretty well. Somebody here needs to submit one. And then this is a look of what this would appear like from maybe a student perspective in Schoology. So checkpoints are completed in Schoology so students, parents, and myself can quickly be informed of the student's progress towards mastery. Our scale is set up so if a student misses all of the questions or just gets one correct, this is considered beginning in their mastery understanding. Answering 2 questions correct is considered to be developing. A 3 we would consider to be proficient. A 4 we would consider mastering the concept if they got a 4 out of 4. So if a student scores a 0 to 2, they'll be required to revisit the content and the checkpoint. If they receive a 3, it's optional for them to revisit that content, but it's highly encouraged that they do so. And this is just a look at how easy it is to just drop a note real quick into Schoology and communicate to students really whatever you need to about that checkpoint. If they need to revisit it, if they did a great job, if they did revisit the checkpoint with you, or they did some type of relearning activity, you can pop a note in there as well. Very simple to do. If a student isn't progressing how I would like them to, or I need to intervene in some way, I can do this in multiple ways. Some students might be able to handle revisiting a resource on their own in order to review the concepts missed so they can eventually demonstrate mastery. If they retake the checkpoint and don't significantly improve, then I can intervene in some other way. For some students, I might want to meet with them and discuss the concept in class, and maybe a small group, or just with one student at a time. This is often the case for my ESL learners. And you might have some students that are just struggling with a couple lessons in a row, and you just might want to meet with them in person to do some reteaching. And then after that reteaching, I'll have them retake the assessment. I think the key here is to keep in mind that you need to do what works best for your students and your classroom. We differentiate instruction for a reason, and so you may need to avoid the one-size-fits-all approach with this reteaching and relearning process. Another thing to consider is that we do something called a flex day. The flex day allows us to meet with students about twice a month. And this time is for students to kind of receive, for those that don't need to meet, they receive extension opportunities with the content. Maybe they're doing some pieces that are a little above everyday general education. Definitely trying to reach our higher level learners here. But also this is a time period for me to meet with students that need those discussions, that need the reteaching with me maybe we don't quite have that time during that week with the busy schedule, whatever the case may be. But that's what the flex day provides. It also forces you as a teacher to scrap the lessons that you don't that don't necessarily cover all the content so well, and maybe if they're if they're still good lessons, if they still help extend learning, then they could be saved for extension opportunities. That's all I have. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to always get in touch with me over here at the middle school. But I do want to say that so far during this process for mastery-based grading, it really helps tremendously for me to make sure my students are on track and for them to make sure they're on track by monitoring their own learning. But definitely don't have all the answers. More than happy to help you out with anything that I can. Like I said, feel free to get in touch. Thank you.